As the blessed month of Rajab dawns upon us, a subtle yet profound opportunity presents itself to every believing heart. For many Muslims, this is precisely the time when a quiet, often unnoticed mistake begins to take root. Not a glaring error or a deliberate sin, but a gentle misstep that can quietly erode the spiritual rewards of Ramadan before it even arrives. Most of us fail to recognize it in the moment, and that invisibility is what renders it so insidious and dangerous. Year after year, familiar patterns repeat themselves across the ummah. Some believers suddenly plunge into new devotional practices, driven by enthusiasm, but without a deep grasp of their true purpose or authenticity. Others scarcely acknowledge Rajab's arrival, proceeding with life as though the calendar has not shifted into one of its most honored phases. Both approaches carry an air of confidence, yet both frequently overlook the profound essence of this sacred month. This misunderstanding carries greater consequences than we often appreciate, and many only awaken to its impact when Ramadan feels unexpectedly burdensome. Rajab is undeniably a sacred month, one of the 4 sacred months explicitly mentioned in the Quran. Indeed, the number of months with Allah is 12 lunar months in the register of Allah from the day He created the heavens and the earth. Of these, 4 are sacred. Surah At-Tawbah 9:36. But sacred does not imply magical. It does not mean that forgiveness flows automatically or that human effort becomes unnecessary. On the contrary, sacred time amplifies our responsibility. It does not diminish it. Here lies the core of where many go astray without realizing. Some view Rajab as a kind of spiritual shortcut, a month where extra actions yield disproportionate rewards with minimal reflection. Others treat it as an empty interlude, a mere waiting room before the real spiritual season of Ramadan begins. Yet Islam has never endorsed either of these extremes, even though they have become disturbingly common in our communities. Pause for a sincere moment and reflect deeply. Rajab was not bestowed upon us to showcase invented rituals or to fuel temporary motivational surges. It was granted as a merciful signal to slow down, to engage in honest self-examination, and to realign our hearts and habits before the intensified accountability of the coming months. It serves as a gentle awakening for the soul, preparing it for the greater tests and blessings ahead. When Rajab is mishandled or taken lightly, the effects ripple forward. Ramadan arrives feeling heavier than it should. Fasting becomes a physical struggle rather than a joyful elevation. Discipline seems imposed from outside rather than flowing naturally from within. Consistency drains energy instead of renewing it. Believers find themselves frantically trying to lay spiritual foundations during a month designed primarily for testing and elevation upon already solid ground. This preparation is never about merely accumulating more actions. It is about executing the essential actions with greater precision, presence, and sincerity. It is not about abrupt, dramatic overhauls that rarely last. It is about humble, honest correction of what has drifted off course. And crucially, it is not about public displays of piety that impress others. It is about private restraint, quiet control over the self, and safeguarding the heart from what weakens it. This reminder is offered not to criticize genuine excitement or heartfelt sincerity. Both are beautiful gifts from Allah. Rather, it is to protect and redirect our efforts toward what truly benefits the soul. Sincerity detached from accurate knowledge can unintentionally lead us astray, just as neglect masked as patient waiting can silently squander irreplaceable time. Rajab has begun, whether we feel fully prepared or not. The pivotal question is no longer, what new worship will I add this month? But rather, what long-standing weaknesses, habits, or neglects am I finally willing to confront and correct? Rajab does not merely adorn our faith with extra embellishments. It refines and prepares it for the trials and triumphs ahead. We constantly hear the term sacred echoed as Rajab enters, yet how rarely do we pause to unpack its true weight? Sacred does not mean lighter or more effortless. It means the time carries amplified significance. Every choice resonates more deeply. Every act of obedience is magnified in reward, and every lapse leaves a more lasting imprint on the heart. When Allah designates a period as sacred, He is elevating the standards, not relaxing them. These months were never intended as periods of spiritual ease or casualness. They were established to heighten our mindfulness, to make us more deliberate in our words, actions, and intentions. Sacred time demands greater care because accountability is intensified. Many believers unconsciously approach Rajab as if it were a blanket exemption or bonus multiplier. Whatever I do here counts more. Or, sins here weigh less because mercy is abundant. Both assumptions fundamentally misunderstand the nature of sacredness. In reality, sacred months raise the bar. Good deeds shine brighter, but shortcomings and sins wound the soul more profoundly. This is why misinterpreting Rajab can prove spiritually hazardous. Initial excitement surges for some, filling social media with announcements of new routines and goals. Yet excitement, untethered from awareness and authentic guidance, often evaporates swiftly, leaving disappointment in its wake. Responsibility, however, endures long after emotions fade. Others dismiss Rajab altogether, reserving their energy exclusively for Ramadan. This too is a grave oversight. Allah placed Rajab immediately before Shaban and Ramadan with deliberate wisdom, to allow gradual tuning of the heart before the volume of obligation increases dramatically. If Rajab served no distinct purpose, it would not have been singled out for sacred status. If its role were purely celebratory, it would not simultaneously command heightened restraint and vigilance. Sacred time exists to cultivate God consciousness, not to indulge fleeting emotional highs. One of the most telling indicators of widespread misunderstanding is the casual continuation of sinful or harmful habits during Rajab. Sharp tongues remain unchecked. Gossip flows freely, screens consume hours without restraint, and private indiscretions are minimized as small. This spiritual numbness is not tranquility. It is a serious alarm bell that the heart may have grown drowsy. Allah honored these months precisely to sharpen our alertness, not to lull us into complacency. The objective is never to instill paralyzing fear, but to foster living, breathing consciousness of our fleeting time, of the weight of our choices, and of the ever-present gaze of the all-knowing. Thus, Rajab does not aim to pile on pressure. It aims to instill seriousness, a mature, honest seriousness that prompts us to identify weaknesses rather than camouflage them beneath layers of supplementary acts. Many enthusiastically add supererogatory prayers or fasts, while core obligatory duties remain mechanical or incomplete. Rajab gently reverses this priority. Correct and perfect what is obligatory first. Stabilize the foundation before erecting additional structures. Master restraint before pursuing increase. Sacred months grant us precious space to see ourselves clearly, to confront patterns we normally evade, to expose gaps in discipline, and to bridge them calmly before the intensity escalates. When approached with sincerity, this process can feel unsettling because it dismantles comfortable excuses and distractions. Yet this very discomfort is a profound mercy. A heart sensitized and strengthened now will not buckle or break when greater demands arrive later. Rajab is not sent to overwhelm or exhaust us. It is sent to anchor and ground us, reminding us that authentic faith is not a seasonal phenomenon. It is cultivated gradually, deliberately, and with unwavering honesty. If we treat Rajab as though it possesses inherent magical properties, it will slip away, leaving little lasting transformation. If we honor it as the sacred trust it truly is, it immediately begins the vital work of realignment. That subtle yet tangible shift in direction, the quiet mending of cracks, is the clearest evidence that Rajab is fulfilling its divine purpose. Misunderstanding Rajab typically manifests in two primary ways: distinct on the surface, but converging toward the same unfortunate outcome. The month concludes with the heart essentially unchanged. The first is outright neglect. Life proceeds uninterrupted. Prayers remain rushed and distracted. Reflection is absent. Harmful habits persist unchallenged. No overt crisis occurs, so the erosion feels non-existent. But the true cost is deferred. It emerges forcefully in Ramadan, when spiritual disciplines feel foreign, oppressive, rather than familiar and uplifting. Neglect gradually desensitizes the soul. Sacred time passes without heightened awareness, training the heart to disregard divine signals. Repentance is postponed indefinitely, correction delayed perpetually, and stagnation becomes normalized. Numbness sets in not as rest, but as dangerous dormancy. The second common error is innovation. Often born from pure intentions, individuals seek to maximize Rajab by introducing practices never prescribed by the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, or his companions. Special prayers, unique fasts, or ritual celebrations emerge, treated as essential despite lacking authentic foundation. This path feels vibrantly productive. Schedules fill, emotions soar, a sense of exceptional devotion swells. Yet activity is not synonymous with divine acceptance. Worship in Islam is rooted firmly in following revealed guidance, not in human creativity or cultural accretion. Sincerity is indispensable, but it cannot legitimize incorrect forms. Both sincerity and adherence to the Sunnah are required for true benefit. When innovation supplants authentic practice, worship shifts from submission to self-expression, from humility to emotional gratification. Neglect squanders Rajab through passive absence. Innovation squanders it through active misdirection. One empties the month of meaning, the other fills it with counterfeit substance. Both sever the connection to Rajab's intended role, reinforcing and perfecting what Allah and His Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, have already established rather than fabricating anew. Allah has perfected this religion. This day I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you. Surah Al-Ma'idah 5:3. Nothing essential remains missing. Sacred months require no novel frameworks or systems. They require renewed, wholehearted commitment to the timeless guidance we already possess. Rajab asks nothing extraordinary of us. It asks for profound honesty. Scrut. Enize your obligatory duties. Acknowledge detrimental habits. Restrain what erodes your faith. And fortify what you know to be correct. Evading these twin pitfalls, neglect and innovation, unlocks Rajab's true potential. Replace neglect with vigilant awareness. Replace innovation with verified knowledge from Quran and Sunnah. Infuse both with unwavering sincerity. When this equilibrium is struck, Rajab transforms from a source of confusion into a beacon of clarity. It illuminates precisely where we stand spiritually, without overwhelming or condemning us. To appreciate why innovation proliferates so readily in Rajab, consider the workings of the human heart. It yearns for tangible signs of progress, for reassurance that effort matters. Innovation supplies instant gratification. New routines spark excitement. Special acts feel uniquely meaningful. Emotional highs convince us we are advancing rapidly. But spiritual sensation is not equivalent to divine guidance. Islamic worship prioritizes submission to Allah's commands over personal invention or emotional preference. When this boundary blurs, sincerity gradually detaches from correctness, and worship revolves around fleeting feelings rather than enduring obedience. Innovation also diverts attention from pressing repairs. A believer may layer on optional acts while foundational obligations, like mindful prayer or controlling the tongue, remain deficient. The schedule appears full and impressive, yet the structure is unstable, inviting eventual collapse and burnout. Authentic worship operates differently. It accumulates gradually. fortifies the heart layer by layer, and fosters sustainable consistency. There is no frantic rush because the aim is alignment with Allah's pleasure, not performance for self or others. Rajab is designated for reclaiming neglected essentials, renewed focus, deepened awareness, reclaimed responsibility, not for unveiling novelty. Genuine preparation manifests as calm steadiness, not flashy spectacle. It realigns trajectory quietly and shields against future disorientation. After grasping restraint's primacy, Rajab's deeper wisdom emerges. This is preeminently a month of self-control and discipline. Before worship volume surges in Ramadan, inner mastery must deepen. True growth frequently commences not by adding visible deeds, but by eliminating what silently corrodes the soul. Restraint is subtle, private, devoid of applause. That is where Rajab performs its most transformative labor. If restraint remains underdeveloped now, fasting later becomes mere physical endurance rather than soul-purifying elevation. The body can be compelled, but the heart requires prior training to embrace the fast willingly. Rajab invites meticulous observation. Which impulses do we indulge casually? Which words escape without forethought? Which forms of consumption lack boundaries? Which shortcomings do we rationalize away? Public performance craves visibility and validation. Restraint seeks only Allah's sight. And divine observation molds character far more enduringly than any outward show. This focus can prove uncomfortable when embraced earnestly. It dismantles illusions and forces confrontation with avoided truths. Yet this discomfort is pure mercy. Restraint shields worship from showing off and insincerity, ensuring future increases are grounded in discipline rather than habit or hype. Rajab demands no impossible perfection. It demands raw honesty about where control falters and impulses dominate. Prioritize discipline before decoration, mastery before multiplication. As restraint matures, subsequent worship lightens and authenticates. Rajab is no mere stage for exhibition. It is a dedicated training arena for cultivating unbreakable inner strength. Having internalized Rajab as foundational rather than climactic, its positioning clarifies. It is the base upon which Shaban builds strength and Ramadan achieves transformation. Foundations receive little fanfare. They are laid meticulously because collapse is inevitable without them. Many approach Rajab expecting immediate, visible spiritual highs, craving a sense of accomplishment before Ramadan commences. This impatience undermines preparation. Islam advocates staged, sustainable advancement, not abrupt quantum leaps. Ignoring this sequence destabilizes the entire spiritual edifice, with cracks inevitably surfacing under Ramadan's weight. Ramadan does not magically cure entrenched weaknesses. It exposes them mercilessly. Inconsistent prayer in Rajab becomes frantic and hollow in night prayers. Feeble restraint now translates to burdensome hunger and thirst later. Absent mindfulness presently renders Ramadan worship robotic rather than heartfelt. Divine wisdom provides Rajab's calm interlude. No mandatory fasting, no packed nightly programs, precisely for unhurried foundational repair, free from burnout risk. Preparation is inherently unglamorous, repetitive, corrective, incremental. Immediate rewards are rare, yet it is this patient labor that safeguards against later overwhelm. External motivation cannot manufacture discipline. Discipline forges enduring stability that sustains motivation through dry seasons. In Rajab, habituate the soul to core obligations performed beautifully. Prayer with presence, reduced wasteful habits, respected time boundaries. These understated shifts profoundly alter long-term trajectory. Casual treatment of Rajab breeds Ramadan struggle and early fatigue. Serious engagement yields Ramadan steadiness and sustained elevation. Rajab constructs the platform Ramadan occupies. Solid groundwork ensures the superstructure withstands intensified. Finally, Rajab's ultimate examination is not capacity for intense bursts, but sustainability when novelty wanes. Many equate intensity with breakthrough. Extreme schedules, prolonged worship marathons, initial power surges feel revolutionary, yet when inevitable exhaustion strikes, everything crumbles, guilt compounding the loss. Islam forges resilient hearts through quiet consistency, not emotional roller coasters. Repetition normalizes excellence. Normalized excellence reshapes identity permanently. Rajab prioritizes sustainable obedience over spectacular but fleeting exertion. Allah loves modest deeds maintained steadfastly. The most beloved deeds to Allah are those done consistently, even if small. Reported in Bukhari and Muslim. Intensity hinges on transient emotion. Consistency rests on resolute commitment, enduring beyond feeling. Builders of consistency enter Ramadan grounded. Worship flows naturally. Restraint feels second nature. Intensity chasers arrive fragile, prone to rapid depletion. Consistency also preserves sincerity by favoring small, unseen acts over ego-inflating displays. Rajab probes, which practices can endure low energy, stress, fasting's demands, strengthen precisely those. Faith is validated not by 1 month's volume, but by what persists afterward. Even a single enduring positive change signifies Rajab's success. Exhaustion and abandoned resolutions signal failure. Consistency lacks drama, yet yields eternal results. Reshaped character, fortified discipline, readiness for escalated accountability. Rajab will conclude swiftly, as all months do. Time neither pauses nor awaits our readiness. What endures is not our aspirations, but our actual corrections. Most will transition onward spiritually unaltered. Not from deficient sincerity, but from missing Rajab's essence. Sacred time rewards vigilant responsibility and awareness, not superficial excitement. Rajab was never designed to impress onlookers, overwhelm servants, or deplete reserves. It was designed for quiet preparation, gentle habit correction, and disciplined restoration ahead of heightened trials. If one truth lingers from this reflection, Rajab seeks no flawlessness. It seeks earnest seriousness. Serious restraint over impulses. Serious consistency in obligations. Serious commitment to healing spiritual weaknesses. Preparation feels profoundly ordinary. Minor daily tweaks. Private principled decisions. Disciplined practice absent spectators. Yet these ordinary choices compound into extraordinary endurance. Ramadan approaches inexorably. The experiential gulf, one heart straining under load, another gliding with grace, is forged silently now, in Rajab's merciful quiet. This month extends rare divine favor, unpressured space for truthful self-assessment and foundational reinforcement. Should Rajab illuminate even one corrective need, it has magnificently succeeded. Awareness is mercy. Modest yet sincere amendment is authentic advancement. Never undervalue quiet betterment or dismiss modest steadfastness. Faith crystallizes not in ecstatic peaks, but in valleys of unwavering commitment. Allow Rajab to traverse your soul purposefully. Permit it to bequeath readiness rather than remorse. Let it forge enduring discipline over transient strain. And let initiative sparked now prove sustainable, carried forward effortlessly into Shaban, Ramadan, and beyond. Sacred time never merely adorns faith. It rigorously prepares it. And sincere preparation renders all that follows lighter, steadier, and infinitely more profound.